It's two sides. I think government will continue to play a central role. They are key players, they are investors in R&D, but also consumers of a variety of solutions. So I think overlooking the role and importance of the government would be a mistake. And for even maybe what's difficult often for startups and mini organizations is also to have the first anchor customers and to start building the business. And typically governments also have that kind of scale where they can help organizations to reach a certain stage. After that, the solution can be leveraged and address just all the commercial opportunities out there. So I think the market will remain hybrid. Some solutions will play essentially on commercial strengths and the commercial end users, but part of it will stay government driven, or a significant part of government financing in it. And I think more and more it's government leveraging on commercial solutions, but also commercial certainly taking advantage of what government users are requiring, and certainly government also require much more intelligence and information. If you look at the United States, it's over a 10-year period where it started to say that you need to work more with the private sector to bring a number of solutions, and certainly to work also ultimately on citizen benefits. So there will continue to be research on space driven on knowledge, exploration of the universe, etc. But clearly there's been a large focus on servicing the citizens through new solutions, and with the private sector playing a more important role. So in Europe, the trend is also quite noticeable that there is more outsourcing to the private sector for different types of requirements. And in other parts of the world, it's still partly changing. So it's on a case-by-case basis, but a large part of the investment is about development, about benefiting to the population, the citizens. Will it be for safety? Will it be health monitoring, urbanism infrastructure, maritime navigation, air traffic management, and many other options? We're talking about the transition phase. So it would be wrong to say that the market will necessarily be very easy for all players. We see some players suffering. On some occasions, I call it a necessary pain, that there is disruption in innovation. There is pressure on part of the economics of the sector as you prepare the future. So these 2 to 3 years will remain a challenge for a number of companies. For startup organizations, obviously the very first years are always difficult before you reach a certain size and revenue flow. But this period also is really shaping what the industry will look like in the next decade, and is really preparing a new growth phase. So the next 3 years likely presenting its challenges. There may be some winners and losers in that period, but certainly preparing for the new growth in the overall sector as we see it. Geopolitics have always been key in the satellite sector, and in 3 directions. One is, or in certain occasion, the ability of countries to work together on certain development initiatives. The second also is the willingness for the country to have national capabilities to develop their national assets and so forth. And from that standpoint, if you think of certain local development, certainly geopolitics can make it difficult. Temporary issues in Brazil can delay some initiatives, government initiatives. Obviously, countries in very difficult situations like Syria or Libya, it can inhibit the development of a number of applications and uses for sure. But at the same time, when we talked earlier about government services, you talk about intelligence, need to communicate, need to get prepared to whatever situation you could face. And certainly, uncertainty in the geopolitical environment is an incentive for governments to invest. Certainly, position of the US versus Europe, NATO, the Brexit, other considerations also bring its nation to consider what it needs to have in terms of its assets or access to commercial services to make sure you have access to the information you need or communication capabilities. So this is kind of an underlying trend, but geopolitics have always been and will continue to be a very important factor for development of satellite service.